Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast with me, ImperialDane. And welcome to another 1 versus 1, this time on Industrial Riverbed. Yes, indeed, this map. And for some reason, the auto matcher likes to put me as the British on this map for some reason. So let's have a look at this. I thought it had some interesting points, in fact, when dealing with the Panzer Elite, or at least some Panzer Elite flaws. So let's have a look at this. In this corner is the 49th Infantry Division. We have me, ImperialDane, and in the east we have SuesserTod, a very encouraging name, I'd certainly say, as the Panzer Elite. Kampfgruppe Tod, yes indeed, and we'll be fighting over this lovely map, with of course the river dividing it, a few particular crossing points, but that will be it. So let's have a look. And I am having a bit of a cold at this moment though, so I apologize if I do sound a bit off. So let's get to this recon section, moving out Kettenkraut from Kampfgruppe Tod, seizing the nearby fuel point, while the recon section is still moving out. In fact, there's obviously a bit slower lieutenant on the way as well from the headquarters command truck. And we see a Panzer Grenadier team from Herr Tod. Probably going to see a second Panzer Grenadier team out as well. Lieutenant on the field, probably going to move for this point of munitions and secure some there. Very quiet at the moment. No actual engagements between the two on this what looks like an old industrial town, of course having heavily bombed, although where on earth in Europe its position I can't say. Perhaps France, perhaps Holland, perhaps Germany, can't say. Although we do have this Opel Blitz truck which has crashed into the river, spraying around a lot of crates of ammunition, certainly a bit of a waste. Troops moving through the suburban areas, seizing the strategic point there. A second infantry section is out, and we see numerous Panzer Grenadiers out, opting to seize territory instead of fighting. Perhaps not what I'd recommend against the British. I'd certainly recommend something a bit more aggressive, trying to single out the different sections while you still can put them under some pressure and limit how much territory the British commander can seize from the get-go. But apparently Mr. Tod has other ideas for how to handle this. We'll have to see how this goes. Lieutenant linking up with one infantry section, being able to supervise them and keep them from going a bit too slowly. Moving across the river. It's only a bit dangerous, but going for it nonetheless. Seeking cover behind a small boat, while up against the Panzer Grenadiers, who have certainly seized a lot more sturdy cover. So the first skirmish of the fight, further Panzer Grenadiers moving in to support their brethren, forcing a full rout, since I have no intention of fighting a fight like that. Not going to go my way. And we see the Panzer Grenadiers of the third team moving in unprotected, seizing this point. I'm probably going to spot this and move in my infantry section. And we also see a Bren carrier get out on the field with a Vickers 30 caliber machine gun. Quite fond of using it like that. Allows me to have a mobile support unit and do a bit of harassment on the opponent as well. Plus it helps against any armored cars and such. Taking out the Panzer Grenadiers who are caught out in the open and forcing them to retreat under heavy machine gun fire. Second team spotted, but also pulling back, although in a bit more orderly fashion, and now completely panicking and running away. Dishonorable. We see the Bren carrier sneaking about a bit, moving up to support the northern thrust from my troops, spotting this attempt at seizing my fuel. So going to try and attack them from the rear and do a bit of damage before they can pull out. Kettenkraut certainly forced to pull back quickly, and we see the Panzer Grenadiers not really shifting their cover, probably allowing my Bren carrier to do some damage while just shooting right into them unprotected. dual machine guns doing a bit of damage to them, but still no casualties so far. Over. Whoops, one Panzer Grenadier already down. And we see the British troops busy seizing territory, and in fact the Panzer Grenadiers have moved completely out of the cover. One team already suppressed. The other team suppressed as well under all the machine gun fire from the dual machine guns. And now retreating, suffering some losses on retreat. In fact, total loss of 3 Panzer Grenadiers out of a 6 Panzer Grenadier force. Not good, especially considering I lost nothing. And all I can do is just self-repair the Bren carrier for a small amount of munitions. So certainly a fight that went to my advantage, and we see the good old let's build something and then go straight for the Panzerjäger command tactic or strategy. I'm not entirely sure what I'd level this as, although personally I don't think it's so awfully grand. The half-track could certainly have been of use, but looks like it'll be only going for armored cars, and we see an attempt by the Kettenkrad to sneak around. This is something some players do, go Luftwaffe and then just use the Kettenkrad to sneak around behind enemy lines, take some territory, then when the enemy appears, camo and sneak away. We see a larger force moving in from the south, while I'm setting a machine gun to cover this position, so of course this isn't going to be bypassed, but at the same time it's certainly going to restrict his movement through this area. Bren carrier fully repaired, and you see a field support truck out on the field. Spotting that this is being taken out, quickly figure out that someone's sneaking behind my lines with a Kettenkrad. Panzer Grenadiers certainly playing a bit passive, though, sticking together and not even fully reinforced in some cases. Not entirely sure why that though. Trying to spot the Kettenkrad, but no such luck. And setting up here, securing this point, getting me a lot of fuel, in fact 26. So that's advantageous, spotting the Kettenkrad once more, and I'm also spotting all of these Panzer Grenadiers, I do believe. Bren carrier moving in on the rear of the larger force, causing some damage, but also spotting all of these Panzer Grenadiers now moving in. Not entirely sure what they're up to, but recon section sniping away one Panzer Grenadiers, leaving one team depleted with only one man, while the rest are certainly not looking too much better. Recon section being supported by the machine gun platform that is the Bren. Not a good situation for these Panzer Grenadiers, who are not trying to support their brethren, but instead just hiding behind this shit. That's a bit odd. Could have used this to get a bit more frontage and allow a bit more heavy firepower on this. Bren carrier scaring off the Kettenkrad once more. And we see a Marder 3 tank hunter. The Marder 3 based on the Panzer 38T, a Czechoslovakian tank, in fact. Quite used by the Germans a lot in the early war, when they in fact themselves lacked a lot of tanks. And later on, as the Panzer 38T became obsolete, it was converted into other units, like for example the Marder 3, the Flak Panzer 38T, and the Hetzer Jagdpanzer as well. And I do believe some self-propelled artillery pieces were also created from it, in fact. Sappers also moving in, and we see further heavy casualties to the Panzer Grenadiers, who are still remaining behind to fight, suffering deeply, although some losses are now conducted to the infantry sections, but certainly not in the same grim way that the Panzer Grenadiers are being caught out in the open. Marder now moving in, missing the Bren carrier, instead hitting some piping, and now ending up in a slightly unfortunate situation where the Bren carrier itself not exactly the most maneuverable vehicle, in fact outmaneuvers the Marder 3, getting very close to it, and is possibly even going to use some armor-piercing rounds on it. Who knows? Might. Yes, indeed. And forces the Marder 3 on the run. Certainly not a fun situation for the Marder crew in a much larger vehicle, more able to deal with vehicles. But again, if you can catch a vehicle like that on the right footing with your own vehicle, and then use some armor-piercing rounds, you can easily force them to run away. Well, I'm sure the German commander isn't exactly cheerful about it. Kampfgruppe Tod's tank destroyers or tank hunters certainly in a bit of a curious situation, and we're also seeing a Steward tank getting out, and that's certainly also going to help if I can, of course, outmaneuver the martyrs. And let's have a look at SuesserTod. Let's see if what he's up to. Only 3 Panzer Grenadier teams left, all now fully reinforced. Nothing to actually deal with the infantry. I'm in fact quite spread out, but so far there hasn't been any proper attempts. In fact, he tried to go directly for this, then ignored my infantry for the most part. Not a good idea. He seems a bit unfocused, and now he's going straight for my headquarters command track, discovering it's unprotected. And now my steward is coming to ruin their day, doing a lot of damage to these lightly armored tank hunters, and in fact catching them unprepared. We see the other one trying to knock out my command truck. Knocked down, certainly going to have to do a lid, but not enough. And now we see 1 tank hunter out. Steward tank dashing right past it, or at least trying to be blocked by it. And we see the other martyr turning around, but not able to spot far enough, although now can. But at the same time it's going to end up being outmaneuvered by the steward tank, much faster and much lighter. And it's going to end up being shot from the rear, and we see another martyr 3 knocked out. And this is really an important lesson to you people. Do not send in your tank destroyers or anything like that unsupported. Martyr 3s are certainly no assault guns, and even then currently most of the assault guns in this game aren't that great. I'd certainly not recommend doing this with a Stug either, and I'd certainly not recommend it with a Martyr 3, and at least not without some infantry to actually act as a cover, as a screen. But again, no, he just rushed in the martyrs, and his men's or his vehicle suffered for it. And we see a second Steward light tank on the field alongside the brain carrier, forcing a full retreat on the Panzer Grenadiers. And I'm floating some manpower and some fuel, not entirely sure what he's going to go for. Perhaps another martyr, yes indeed. Hoping that 3rd time's the charm. Not entirely sure that's going to be successful. Owning most of the territory and certainly having a nice mechanized light armor for force to deal with his. Able to deal with the Panzer Grenadiers and with whatever he might throw at me in terms of armored cars and martyrs to a certain extent. Certainly looks like I have the advantage for now. Dashing a bit around, repairing the damaged Steward light tank. Kettenkraut sneaking around once more, nothing, caught behind enemy lines, and it's certainly going to get very nasty if it's caught out in the open there. We see the martyr once more. We see the Panzer Grenadier player certainly a bit passive, going for the Luftwaffe doctrine, probably going to try and repair or at least set up something sort of a defensive position. Could be he might try to set up some flak feelings, but not entirely sure, although I'd not recommend it like something like that, particularly not when I do have a lot of light armor. Perhaps tank hunter would have been more apt, perhaps trying to go for a heads up, but then again not enough command points, so not going to be of much help for him. But he does have the Martyr 3 now behind my infantry, and using all of this on this small battlement, firing down on my infantry out in the open below. Certainly a small advantage situation for him. But now the Steward and Brent carrier is moving in, forcing him back up. Martyr 3 moving in to provide covering fire and do some damage to these vehicles. But I do suspect something is wrong and pull back in time. So, and looks like our German commander has managed to reconnect himself with this high fuel point, using his sneaky